Hey, welcome guys to another episode of Electrical Theology, Esoteric Life Coaching. I'm your host Chuck, Charles, Charlie, whatever you want to call me, guys. It's just the title. Welcome to another episode of Electrical Theology, Esoteric Life Coaching. I am your host Charles. This week we're going to be talking about how to survive, thrive, and have drive for your life without a job. How do you survive and thrive and have drive for life without a job? Right? We know that it means taking responsibility for your thoughts, actions, and emotions, and that's basically what this channel is, to help you take ownership of your thoughts, actions, and emotions. We've been talking about it. If you haven't watched my videos, go back and watch a few of them on the secret grid. It is a cosmic blueprint, a universal secret code that lets you know the energy that's coming in, or how you're bringing it in, and how you can organize it, how you can put it into order, how you can charge it, and it's all being done consciously in your and it's you who's consciously doing all this. And by taking ownership of your thoughts, actions, and emotions, you begin to create thoughts from the no thing and bringing them into the thing world. Cool, but we're not going to go over that. This just gives us an idea of to keep this in the back of our head as we go on for today's conversation. Right? So we're going to talk a little bit about paycheck versus cash flow mentality. Now, a paycheck is you get paid every 2 weeks, every week, whatever this may be, but it's normally associated with a job. And a job is you are an employee. Now, you could be a subcontractor, that's fine, but as long as if you're a subcontractor but you're still getting paid every 2 weeks, then basically you're an employee. You're waiting for that next job or whatever to get paid. For me, cash flow is that you create things that then bring you money in without you having to work, or that you set up things down the road, be it cryptocurrencies, you put them there and they increase in value, or gold and silver, it can increase in value over time, although that's more of a securities for me, that when inflation comes in, that my money is in gold and silver, so it has more value. It doesn't lose its purchasing power as the dollar has, about 97%. Plus you add in inflation, then your paycheck's not going to go as far as it was, plus they're going to take out even more taxes. So they're not only hitting you with inflation, they're not really paying you too much more, or a wage that is proportionate to how much they're raising the interest rates. How much you're raising interest rates. Right, so what you were making last year, if you had to pay, let's just say $20,000 in bills last year, you're going to have to work twice as many, or almost a third as many hours, to pay the same amount for those bills that have all gone up in value. Food, gas, clothing, electronics, everything that you know of, lumber, has all gone up in value. Chicken, meats, anything, 30 to 40 to almost 90%. But did your paycheck go up 90%? No, so you'll always be getting by. You'll live paycheck to paycheck. You'll never have enough. And this can lead to your own internal representations that you're not enough. You sort of tie money or this job into who you are, right? And if that job goes, well, there goes you. So we're going to sort of look at this and not tie ourselves into money per se to give us value. Our own internal representation is how we value ourselves, right? But for cash flow is where I set up certain things. Either I start a business and other people are working for me, and then that money, what they're making, a portion of that goes to me. Or, like I said, investments and other things. Or if I wrote a book and I get checks, or if you're an artist and want to sing, you make royalties. I do some painting. Some of those sell. I make money off of those, but I don't have to sit there and sell them every day. They're just sitting around, and then someone says, "Hey, I like that." So there's different versions of cash flow, and in today's time, it's rare that you have a job that you can work for 30 years, right? Because one company gets bought out, or technology moves so fast that because of cryptocurrency, now a lot of the older jobs that were around for a while are no longer here. There's no more pensions after 30 years. These are far and few between. So it's hard to work one job and make ends meet. So we have to sort of understand our thrive. How can we thrive in life? And that is doing what you love. And that means changing what needs to be changed in order to fit your lifestyle. So if you love what you're doing, but you still need to make money, then what bills or what expenses do you have that can be refitted bills that can either be eliminated or reduced, or increase income, or do some side hustles? Do you have a bunch of stuff around the house that could be sold at a garage sale, or a flea market, or eBay, or any of this to bring in extra money? So cash flow and thriving and getting ahead is about creating multiple incomes. And so in today, you have to have 3 or 4 different jobs. Now, if you like 3 or 4 different jobs because you just don't want one job, then you can work multiple jobs. But eventually, cash flow is where you have cash coming in without you working all the time. It's okay to work and then have cash flow on the side. But the difference between surviving is that it's paycheck to paycheck, and that's normally employees, right, on the lower end. Or you're having to trade your labor for dollars. And because dollars are losing their value and everything's going up, then you have to work more hours, right? And that's how the institution keeps you enslaved. The cash flow, you get to set the terms, you get to set the flow. Yes, it's a lot more hustle. Yes, we look for opportunities. We listen very closely to what people around us are complaining about, and then we can create a business or a service where if they don't have time to mow their grass, go mow their grass. If they don't have time to walk their dogs, walk their dogs. These are all small hustles on the side, or flipping cars, or just listen closely to what people are saying and see if you can fill that void somehow. If you have an idea and you don't know, and you try to read books and there's nothing about that idea or how to get started, then educate yourself and write your own book. Right? This could be a side hustle that down the road gives you royalties to the book. And it doesn't cost you much to write a book these days. You write it costs about $8 to publish a book now. If you want to order a lot more, that's fine. You get more of a discount. But you can have a book published in about 24 hours after you've written the book, of course. That can take a long time. But once it's all up and ready to go, you can upload it online now and have it in your mailbox in 48 hours. Right, or an online version of it that you can send out for free. Right? So there's a lot of side hustles. I'm not going to go into all the side hustles today. I'm just giving you an idea and have drive in life, which way to go on our path, our macro path in life, and are we in alignment with the path? So hopefully if I explain it clearly enough, if not comment, I'll try to explain it a little clearer. But the paycheck and cash flow. Paycheck, you're never going to get ahead. Cash flow, you can create different circumstances where you don't have to be in one place all the time. You can travel the world. And in today's technology and working from home or working away from the office, you can pretty much go where you want. But there's literally thousands of jobs. You just have to find the ones that are within your wheelhouse, which ones interest you. And if there isn't, just find something that pays you temporarily until at the same time you can be working for yourself or doing what you love, art or whatever. That making sense? I know it's a little unclear maybe of what I'm saying, but I want you to understand the difference between paycheck mentality and cash flow. Cash flow, we're entrepreneurs. We look for opportunities and we create what we want and fill the niches that no one else is filling. Right? A paycheck is that you go work for somewhere that you normally don't hate, or that you work for a place that you normally aren't happy with, but you're doing it because it pays the bills or your car or your cell phone or food or whatever. But imagine if you had to live for 400 years and you stuck to that same job for 400 years, would you want to do that job for 400 years? Or do you have a lifestyle, or would you like a lifestyle that if you had to live it for 400 years, that you would love doing it? If you don't love what you're doing, then no matter how many years, you're just not going to like it. So that should give you an indication that, well, maybe I need to look and do something else that I want. And what is that? So we look for, so cash flow people, we look for opportunities. We look at things that maybe won't work out for other people, but we can look at it and say, hey, I can turn this lemon into lemonade type mentality, right? And being an entrepreneur or a cash flow mindset is that we are okay with having ups and downs. For an example, I have explained in my other videos, I've shut down a bunch of the businesses that I had because I was no longer happy. I'm not happy with them anymore. And so I shut them down, so that puts a decrease on my income flow. So then I look for other opportunities to create cash flow. Right? So I don't look at anything as the business wasn't a failure. It's just I wasn't happy with it anymore. And the concept of it's great, and it's keep on going, and it'll be a legacy for my entire life. Other people will carry it forward. But if you're an entrepreneur and you do create something and it doesn't work out, that's okay. It's not a failure because it's just what you didn't know. So it's going to bring to your attention what you didn't know. So we take that and we do it again and we do it again. We keep doing it until it succeeds, right? So we don't look at failure as a negative. We look at it as a positive. Like, okay, I thought I knew what I wanted, but no, this is showing me that this is not what I want. Make sense? All right. So the drive part of this is what's your passion? How would you love to pass your ions? If you were alive for 400 years, what would you be so excited about that you can tell everyone about for 400 years? What kind of occupation? How would you like to occupy your ions? Right? So how would you like to occupy a space for 400 years or 1,000 years? Or 10 years or a year, right? What is it that drives you to keep doing what you love to do, right? Now we're going to get in here a little later about if you're not sure what to do, then we're going to create and organize what to do. And there's different mindset types of personalities. Now, this is a general statement, but I'm just going to categorize it. I know there's more than 2 types of people, but just for this conversation, I'm going to put 2 types of people in this conversation. So multiple focus people. So I'm a multiple focus person. I have multiple things going at once. If I'm not doing 5 or 6 or 7 things at one time, now this isn't workaholic. It's just I like doing multiple things, right? I get bored very easily with something and I want something else to do. So my mind's always focused, but on multiple things, but that multiple focus changes with the tides, with the wind, with my emotions, with my moods, right? I can look for something that I love doing or want to learn, and I'll engross myself. I'll hyper-focus on that thing, and until I get out of it or understand it fully, then I'm done with it. But it always comes at a cost sometimes. So sometimes I'll take a class, and I pay for that class, and because there's something out of that class I feel I want or that it's calling, so I watch, or take that class, and all of a sudden I get what I want out of it. That's what my intuition was telling me. That's what I wanted. Now, I may get that, and there's maybe 6 weeks left in this class. I'm just not going to continue the class. I got what I wanted out of that. Now, could there be more to that class? Yeah, but my mind, the way it works, says, no, you got what you wanted. Let's go ahead. So I'm out of that money in one sense, but I'm not because I got what I wanted. So I got what I wanted. Does that make sense? So we are more emotionally based people. Now, yeah, we can put a logical facade up, but that's a protective thing from us because we feel energies everywhere. Everyone feels energy everywhere. Some people feel it more than others. It just depends on who you are. But for me, I'm an emotional based person, so I built a logic based system so I can operate. If not, energies around me overwhelm me, so I create a balance between my left and right brain, and that's all my program, which is electrical theology and soul mechanics. Now, singular focused people, these guys, I envy these guys because guys and gals, so they can just look at something, be it science or math or music or whatever, and it's just a singular focus, and they do it their entire life, which is awesome, right? But what happens sometimes, at least my perspective of it, what happens is these people do a singular thing, but then there comes a burnout point, right? And then because they only had one thing focused on, then their life sort of is in disarray, or it's really hard on them to do something else because that's all they've ever known. So me, as a multiple focus person, I like to do many things, but if I get burnt out on one, I still have 4 or 5 others. And I'm always changing and getting more. Now, there's ups and downs to this from my perspective. One of these is that it's frustrating that, oh my God, I think, okay, this is a great thing I want to do. I can make some money at this, or I would love to do this day and night. And I start doing it, but then I'm excited, I'm going through it, and all of a sudden, there's no more excitement. I'm like, well, what just happened? I was excited about it. I was writing straight for 4 days, and I love it, and all of a sudden, nothing. Inspiration's gone. It's gone. It's gone on to something else. So then we carry on with the life that we can't work one job, because as soon as we figure that job out, or we become really good at it, or we get what we wanted from it, we leave it, right? And if we stay there, we're just more frustrated, and then we start projecting our own frustration on other people, places, and things around us until we're fired, or we're asked to leave, or whatever may be the case for you. But for me, it's my energy changes constantly because energy and motion changes. So I'm in touch with my flow of emotion. So when my emotion flows differently, then that's a different mood. So that's a different thought process. And so I have different thought processes. So in one thought, I may want to write. In the next one, I just may want to paint. In the next one, I may just want to go work out. And so this changes constantly, or I want to start a new project, right? I've gotten myself where I started 5 or 6 projects at one time that were big projects, and I couldn't finish some of the other ones because my mind wanted to do all of them, right? Until I learned how to delegate and hand off that to someone else. Or I just like the creative process, so I create something, then I give it away, share it away, or whatever. I can come up with 1,000 ideas literally in a day, and part of my uniqueness was that I can look at stuff and brand things. I can say, okay, I hear that you want to start a business and you want to name and you want to focus that. And as that person tells me a story, an idea will pop into my head about the name and everything. So then I just give that to that person. I used to sell these ideas and names and branding for a while. And then I'm just like, I have thousands of them, literally. This is not an exaggeration. I have thousands of thoughts and ideas that come into my head a day. Now, in this life, I know I'm not going to do them all. But if I don't get them out of my head, they're going to stay there. So part of what we'll look at today is how to organize those thoughts so it doesn't drive you crazy. So maybe there is a organization or an order that you can put your thoughts in that then can give you some relief from living the entrepreneur or emotional, introverted, and we'll get into that later, introverted ways or extroverted ways. So singular focused people, that's sort of logical. They just do it. It's an order. They just wake up day and night and do the same thing for 30 years. So part of the developing these steps that we're going to talk about, the organization, the order that we're going to give our thoughts to help us figure out who we are. And we've talked about that in the old who we are, where we are, all that good stuff. And here we talked about the cash flow and paycheck lifestyles. Now, a cash flow lifestyle, at the start, you may not be bringing in much, so you're going to have to adjust your lifestyle accordingly. Don't spend more than you're making. Live below your means, right? Whatever that means. In certain cases, on my younger days, I was just eating ramen noodles and macaroni and cheese and hot dogs. Right? And then other times I'm living like a king, but you have to adjust or adapt to what it is you're choosing to do or what kind of lifestyle. If you know that what you love to do may not pay that much, then you may have to get a part-time job, right? You may have to adjust your lifestyle, or create a lifestyle around, or create the job or income around what you love to do. And so we have to look at what our resistances are or excitements are and why do you expect. Right? What is it and why is it you expect in your job or your life or your entrepreneur or the next opportunity? Part of this is I teach that I don't set up for expectations. Right? Expectation is expecting ions to come in without me telling them what to do. Now energy flows, that's fine, and you're going to get a residual of everyone else's energy influencing your energy. And if you don't know the difference, then you're going to do what they do and not what you want to do. So with me, is there a resistance of going from an employee to an entrepreneur, right? Or going from a paycheck mentality to a cash flow? Neither one's right or wrong, good or bad. It just depends on who you are. But to help identify who you are, then you know what path to take. That making sense? So, what is it you expect out of yourself? What is it you expect out of life? What do you expect out of others? Where are you guys coming from? And so part of expecting, if you're an artist and you want to do it and that's all you love to do, singular focus, that's awesome. But if no one's buying your paintings or your art or whatever, then you're going to have to hustle. You're going to have to go to shows or get other people to do the shows for you, whatever this may be. Right? So look at the expectations of your lifestyle. Why do you expect what you expect? Do you feel that someone owes you something? Do you feel privileged that, oh, I don't have to do this, I'm beneath this? Whatever this story may be for you, right? So whatever your expectations are, is that if you're expecting someone or something to do something for you without you taking the initiative and moving that energy to make it happen, then it's never going to happen. Not in the way, and you'll always be disappointed because you're expecting. And when you expect other people to do things for you, unexpected manner, if that makes sense. So how do I counterbalance not having expectations? I just put out into motion because I'm putting into order what I want my life to look like in order, right? So hopefully you understand expectation. We talked about expectation a few videos back. For me, expectation is that I don't expect anything from anyone. If I want something, then I'm going to put that into motion. And if I then have someone say, yeah, they're going to show up, I don't expect them to show up. They're either going to show up or they're not going to show up. And so what I'm looking for is congruency and consistency. None of us are perfect. Life happens, if you will. We will use that excuse. But then if you are consistent, right? And if you're not consistent, what was the reason behind it? Don't make excuses or justify, as we talked about in the past, right? Just state what it was. If it happens again, what are you going to do differently? And take responsibility that it was you who caused whatever happened. It could have been an outside influence, could have been a car wreck, could have been a traffic jam, that's fine. But it's still on you, right? Now, yes, you show up late, that's fine, but you got to take responsibility for that and say, hey, I took this, right? So you got to claim it. I took this route and it was backed up. Now, granted, that caused that. That's fine, okay? If it's a known road to back up, then what are you going to do next time? Leave earlier, right? Can we reschedule a different time, right? We can set that up. And being responsible is not about blaming and faulting if something doesn't work out. What I'm looking for, again, is not expectations, but congruency and consistency, right? If you consistently show up, awesome. The day you don't, you don't. Not much I can do about that, right? If you don't, then I'm going to make different choices. Make sense? And a lot of our paycheck or money is tied in, and this is sort of a side note for this video, because I can do a whole video on this, and I will, on self-worth, self-reflection, self-esteem, all that good stuff. And so a lot of people tie their self-worth into a monetary debt-based system, and debt-based is a slave system. And so if you're not performing according to the slave owners, then you're always trying to prove or work harder to get their approval. Now, if you're not making money or something happens where money's not there, then if you were tied to that money, then if that money's gone, then there goes your self-esteem. And the opposite is true, that if you're making a lot of money, you're holding it over other people's or being mean or whatever, then when you're got money, you're happy, and when you don't, you're sad. Then you're tied to that energy, someone else's energy, right? Because energy, if it's not your energy and you're trying to get that energy through approval, then the expectation is going to have a reflection onto your internal representation. And so your self-reflection is going to go down, your self-esteem, your core values. Because the reason why you're tied to money is because you don't have core values, and you have to go into create core values, understand core values. And again, that's going to be videos for down the road. That's too big of a subject to do here, and this video is already going to be a little long. So let's just sort of go forward about understanding cash flow and their different drives. So we looked at the drives and motivation, and we talked about how it changes with the tide, right? So what motivates us, what drives us, right? For me, it's just creating. And what I'm creating is just creation. I'm a creator, so I like to create. It's irrelevant what I'm creating. Now, if I can create something, I like the excitement of doing something out of nothing. So out of nothing comes something. That's me as a creator. Now, once it comes into form, it sort of bores me, so then I either give it away, sell it, do away with it, create something else. Does that make sense? And I have so many ideas that it boggles the mind, and then they all get confused up in my mind. So I'm going to give you an organizational skill here to help you out with that if you are a multiple focus person. Singular focus is pretty simple. If there's not much there, you just focus on what you focus on, and that's it. So if I want to get my energy moving, I have to then become what I am, which is a creator. I own that I'm a creator. Everyone in this planet is a creator. You're all creating all the time. I'm just a conscious creator. And so I consciously create. This YouTube is a creation. I'm just creating it, right? These videos. But it's hard to get inspired if I can't move the energy. So motivation comes before inspiration. If you're looking for inspiration, it's never going to happen until you're motivated. And meaning moving ions, meaning taking responsibility that it's you who's thinking the thought, that it's making you unmotivated or uninspired. So we start the process of, again, back to the grid, is go back to the grid and go, who are you? Why are you? How are you? Right? What are you excited about? Right? And we go through the 5 discipline, knowledge, understanding, awareness, insight, actualization, will, wisdom, and action. Right? Go back and look at that video. It's a video before this one. Right? So we need energy moving. So it's up to you to move your energy. Once you move it, that's motivation, moving energy, motivating ions, moving energy. Right? It's just redundant in my head. And so once you move the energy, then it starts spiraling. It's inspiring. You get it? And once it's inspiring, then you have to learn about it. You have to take in knowledge about it. And then once you got enough knowledge, then you're going to take action on it. Right? And we talked about that in detail somewhat with the grid, the secret grid. So again, our moods, for me, once my brain's tired at the end of the night, I'll turn on the TV, watch Netflix, whatever it is I'm watching. And in that moment, I may sit there for 2 hours just going through, see what's there until something hits my mood. One night it's sci-fi, the next it's rom-coms, the next one is horror, and some nights it's nothing, so I turn it off and just write. Or I just sit there and meditate, right? So for me, whatever my mood is, I then go through a earthly Rolodex of things that may synchronize with the emotion. Again, a movie, music. I may want to sit there and just pluck the guitar. I may want to draw. I may want to do something. It's sort of like trying to figure out what you want to eat. Sometimes you just don't know, but you're hungry. So for me, I'm a mood person, so whatever it is my mood is what I do, because if I do something that's opposite or try to not do what my mood is, then it never really works out for me. It's more frustration. So for me, I align earth life with my mood life, which the mood is just energy in motion. So however the energy is moving into me that I told it to move in, then it's up to me to align with that here in the physical realm. Make sense? All right. If not, leave me a comment, guys. And so again, we can be focused on something and love it, what we're doing. I may be writing a story, a short story, and I'm just writing, the whole story's in my head, and I'm just writing as fast as I can to get it out, or talk to it on a recorder. And I'm talking the story, and my head's already seen the ending of the story, but my voice or my hand's trying to write the story out. But then I'm bored, because I already know how the story ends, so why do I want to keep writing? Right? But I like the idea of writing this story out, but the mood is changed now because I already know the ending of the story. Make sense? So once my mind's got it what it wants, it moves on. With my consciousness or not, my soul's consciousness or spiritual consciousness is already moving on. Great tool way back decades ago to help me do that. So let's sort of get on to that real quick. So what helped me, I read a book a long time ago. It's How to Make a Living Without a Job. And I forget who wrote it at this point. Y'all can look that up. I should look it up. But again, it was a good book. What it did, it was a person who also had a similar mind to mine. And basically, it said to whatever idea you have, whatever mood you have in that moment, that creative mood or mode, is that you get a notebook. So I literally buy hundreds of spiral-bound notebooks. And I label them and what my idea is and the date. So for an example, I'm like, oh, I got a new idea for a new business, right? So I label the book, business, this date, whatever, and inside the cover, I just start writing, topic, here's the job, or here's the title of this new business. I write that down. Then I sort of outline or bullet point what's going to be in this new job, what it contains, right? What I have to do. And sort of as I'm writing this all out and I'm getting a good idea of it, then again, my mind's done with it because I took it from inside my head and just brought it out. So if not, it stays up there swirling with all the rest of them. So the more I began to pull out of my head and put it onto spiral-bound notebook, it freed my mind up to then focus or refocus or hyper-focus on something else that I really wanted to focus on. Because sometimes I am focused on something, but then other ideas are coming in, but I still want to stay focused. I'm not ready to move on, but other ideas are coming on top of those ideas. So I have to fight the other ones off just to maintain it, so that's why I write it down. And then once I write the main idea down, then I go to the other ideas and I write a whole nother spiral-bound notebook with a new title, new label, everything, and a new outline. So for here, label, date, time, title, right? Write that down in each one. Alphabetize them, right? One topic per book. This is a key one here. Don't use one book for 10 ideas, right? Have 10 books for each idea. Because what happens is once I have that idea and I write the idea down, and then I'm like, okay, I don't have time or I have something else to do. I just wrote the idea down in sort of a synopsis of what this new idea is. And then when the idea hits me again, I can go back to that book, that singular titled book, and then just continue on. I redate what time it is, the day it is, the month it is, the year, all that stuff. And then I have another entry. Right? So then another day or another moment, another idea about a new book that I want to write comes in. So then I go to that book, write that one down, I add to that. So each book is a separate idea that I can add to. And over time, instead of trying to make one work, over time they just fill it by themselves. So then I automatically have, say, 10 books that are fully ready to implement or start if I want. And I already have the whole outline of how it's going to work. Does this make sense how I'm saying? Is this going to help you out a little bit, guys? And so to add to help understand an idea that I want to come to fruition, once I put them in these books, and if I'm hyper-focused on it, then I have my primary thinking, my daily thinking. If I want to teach a class on this, I'll teach a class on this, and that's my primary day job, if you will. I'm just teaching this stuff because I love teaching it, and people pay me for this knowledge. Right? And then if I want to expand or expound on this idea for next class or another class, then I have my secondary thoughts are always adding to the primary thought. Does that make sense? So even though I'm teaching one subject, I have 50 other ideas that can come off that one. So I'm going to put them in separate books. But these are secondary that support a primary. Right? So if I want to talk about aliens, then I can talk. Then I'm teaching a class on aliens, right? All the different subsets of aliens out there. Then the other one says, hey, there's another subset of a subset on a different planet. So I'm gonna bring that up, but not now. Much like I'm teaching you here, I can jump all over the place. Keynote, so it keeps me on point. If not, I'm all over the place. But my secondary should be secondary. Secondary thoughts support the primary of what I want to create, and then the tertiary thoughts then support the secondary thoughts that then support the primary thought. So even if I'm just watching TV or something else, and hey, there's a thing about aliens, then I'm going to watch that, right? It's a third thing that's going to give me ideas that then support the secondary idea that then supports the primary idea, that then helps me hyper-focus and then create what it is I want to create, that then gives me a cash flow idea as opposed to a paycheck. That makes sense? So for me, everything's always about putting something else out there that's going to then just sit on the internet or sit on a shelf or somewhere in Barnes & Noble and says, here, buy my book. Then all this energy is out there working for me. I'm not working for it anymore because I already worked for it. You see what I'm saying? I wrote the book. The book's out there. My books, I wrote 5 books, are out there. They're floating around, Amazon and all these other places. And so they're working for me now. Right? So initially, we put in the focus. We put in the drive. Right? We survive to get this thing out. And once we do, then we let it do what it needs to do. And then we go into the next thing. So I'm never focused on how this one idea is going to come out. I then release it, and it's going to do what it's going to do. And then I'm working on second idea, third idea, and I put those out there, and they're working. So I don't need to just every day look at one thing and go, is it bringing me money? Is it bringing me money? Right? How's it doing? Because if the world shuts down and some of my ideas or my businesses that I had aren't conducive with the shutdowns, but I have 3 other ones that I can still do in no matter what economy. Right? So hopefully this gives you an idea. Hopefully this helps you out as well. In today's technology, you can do pretty much anything you want for hustle money or for full-time or 3 part-times. Use your skills. What are your skills? We talked about what your skills were in the grid, right? And if you don't know, then start working with the grid and then find out what skills you have. Which ones are natural? Which ones are organic? Which ones were you born with? Which ones can you learn? Computer skills, anybody can learn. Anybody can make money or hustle on side hustles on the internet now. There's no reason why someone cannot make money on the internet. Right? Everyone has a skill, and if not, create something that other people then buy from you. Make sense? So I know it's sort of vague and I'm all over the place today, guys. That's fine, because my head, again, today, I really didn't want to make a video, but I've made a goal to put these out every single day. Right? Feel free to comment that, hey, yeah, you were a little all over the place, or no, that really made sense. Because sometimes if we think we do something and it wasn't that good, everyone else thought it was great. And if we think we did something great, other people might think it's not as great. I already know that it's not my best work, guys, and that's okay, but I'm still going to put it out there. That's hustling, right? Because I like my cash flow, right? My cash flow is not tied to my self-worth. Cash flow is just energy moving. So I'm just a creator practicing moving energy and putting it in different orders, however that may manifest in this physical realm. All right, I think that's enough for today, guys. I really appreciate you. Share, like, right? If you like these videos, I'm seeing people are watching them, they're increasing, but I'm not seeing the likes, right? So if you will, like and share this with your friends, families, all that good stuff if they're interested in this. If someone in your life is not knowing what direction to take, then go ahead and put in the motion, turn them on to these videos and see if it helps them out. Right? And if you have ideas or specific things that you'd like me to talk about more, then go ahead and leave those in the comment as well. Because I can do these videos for years and years and years, and I can never stop because it's just more and more ideas. All right, so next video, it should be a short one, but we're going to talk about the 4% cycle of how you're excited about something, and all of a sudden you're not where you're excited about something, then you're not excited about something. Instead of putting a label on yourself, that we're going to take these labels off and understand this 4% cycle. All right. That'll do it for today, guys. Loving each and every one of you, and I look forward to seeing you again. Thanks.